Now, next week, phone call here, this time. No partnership, no common direction to go. When people don't know what's around them, when people don't know what's in front of them, when people don't know what's behind them, when people don't know where to find food, they end up dead and dying. They end up hurt. They end up in the hospital getting treated for some wound. And there's not a single person in this whole mental health organization to say, hey, I'm not really making any progress. I'm staring at some 200-pound woman with the hijab and being called a racist for saying the word hijab and saying the description of the person that's in charge of me as a human. And being disregarded because I don't say everything so nice and so sweet and so precise and perfect. And I have emotions. And I have a behavior. And they're not being controlled and they're not being nice enough to get someone to help me figure out stuff. So, talk to them, talk to them, talk to them, talk to them, talk to all those other people and the other people down there. Have you ever stared at a solar eclipse when the sun just goes dark? These kinds of repeating just disinformation, misdirection, confusion, and freaking chaos are kind of like when the light goes out and everybody can't figure out why did the sun just shut off? Except we're not in the time of Galileo. It's 2020 and there's a pandemic called coronavirus, and there's this place called Seattle, Washington, where you either have to work 2 or 3 jobs, make $100,000 a year to afford $2,000 in rent, or the federal assistance does not work. And the shelters are the only option, and the only choices are to sleep next to thug, gangster, drug-induced, violent people. And the options they have available for the social housing take years. The people with my income stay in places like I am now and have so many freaking requirements to say so many words and pay attention so often, the rest of my brain just wants 10 days off. Start back for a few days, go to another appointment, 10 more days off. There's stretching time, there's shrinking time to make these cognitive, behavioral victories. Have you ever sat and counted on a clock you knew could only go to 15 minutes and just watched it go from 4 minutes and 31 seconds to 15 minutes and felt more excited and more alive than talking to your freaking stupid social worker fucking counselor and having to breathe every fucking day of the week, every fucking second of the year in this God-forsaken world? Not out of hate or rage or some sort of negativity, out of sheer tenacity for wanting to be successful and healthy and strong and powerful and well. Examples like Hitler putting people in the oven are very similar to people who aren't racist eventually not having any other choice, no other option available to them to live a normal freaking life and not be scared and afraid and terrified. They were called Confederate soldiers. They were called Union soldiers. They were called the Civil War. And now people are already deciding who's on which side. Well, this guy with camouflage and this stupid freaking voice that never shuts up and that dumb ass brain are not smart enough for the Union. Go put him over there with the racists and let him suffer with the drug addicts. And the hijab 200-pound woman, she is the gold fucking standard. Give her the best uniform the Union has. Give her the best job available. And make me say the words out loud describing who she is and what she wears and how she treats me as someone who's not gender neutral, as someone who's not a transvestite, transsexual, LBGTQ, RSTUVWXYZ, and doesn't give a hot fucking shit about who fucking looks at me and stares at me and listens to my fucking voice on a video for school. These aren't the people who are gonna go save babies' lives from cancer. These aren't the people who are going to do surgery for someone with a brain tumor. They're folks who want the world to make sense at all times, so that time gets to be what they are allowed to do. Time gets to be the stimulus they choose. Time will save everybody because it's the reward. And twitchy, wide-eyed, disbelief-faced people who disagree have to live in this hellhole on this shit fucking dirt part of Earth called Seattle, Washington. No flights elsewhere. No place outside of this city, this state. Stretch and stretch, but realize who's in charge and what the rules are to live by and adhere to for safety and security, or else go live with the wolves and possibly die next to someone who's got a needle in their arm who wakes up and stabs you to death because they need some more drugs. Cognitive emotions don't get to be this diverse. Some multicultural person, some multicultural woman, some ethnically, worldly, godly woman or man cause these kinds of emotions. Especially during times of crisis like a pandemic called coronavirus, lack of sleep from a neighbor hitting your wall in the middle of the night. And more and more and more and more and more and more confused as the minutes, the seconds, and the hours go by, and the time these people claim is now. Is more of a physical reaction, a stomach sickness, a heart that just feels like it's gonna freaking seize up and stop. Eyes and brain just ready to close the book for the rest of forever. And the body ready to go lay with the wolf to just finally be free again.